How about Zion?
So I've always maintained that the only way the Pelicans would trade Zion would be if it was one of those top 3 picks where they could get their hands on Scoot Henderson. They believe Henderson is a terrific young prospect. And from what I feel right now, Greeny, and it is only Tuesday, I think the Hornets and the Blazers are keeping picks 2 and 3 if I had to bet today. And so if there's nothing to trade Zion for, I think Zion is staying put. But we got a long time between now and Thursday night.
All right, so let's make sure that we're 100% clear on that. What you're saying is you think that New Orleans would entertain a trade only if those picks, something of that caliber, came available, not because they're just looking. This is not, and Harry Douglas joins the conversation as well, not because, for lack of a more poetic way of putting it, they're looking to unload what they feel is becoming a problem.
Yeah, I feel like the reason Zion's name got out into the bloodstream in the last 10 days is because the Pelicans were really hunting to try to figure out how to get the number 2 or number 3 pick. And it was either going to take a player like Zion or a player like Brandon Ingram to get that. And so that's why the name has been out there. He's obviously been in the news for other reasons. But I have never felt like the Pelicans were itching to get rid of him. I just feel like they loved Scoot Henderson. And Tuesday, I feel like picks 2 and 3 are staying put. We'll check back tomorrow and Thursday and see where things are in those at that standpoint.
So that then brings us to what I think is the more central question, which is, if you were the person making the decision with all the stuff that is going on that is surrounding him, there's all sorts of things swirling about him. They're not the sorts of things we're going to get into on a program like this, but people who know what I'm talking about know what I'm talking about. That just sort of factors in here, and you've got the injuries, and you've got the questions about the desire and the motivation and all the rest of that. You know, Harry Douglas, at what point, if you feel like this has become your problem, do you want to try and turn him into someone else's problem?
Yeah, Greeny, I'll be honest with you. This is a tough situation because when Zion is on the court, he's so dang on phenomenal, and it puts the New Orleans Pelicans in a positions to contend. The only problem is that he has trouble staying on the court. And I'm going to reference it like to my playing days, playing in the NFL. I played with a lot of guys that were phenomenal players, but just needed a different scenery. So when it comes to Zion, is he motivated in New Orleans to be the face of that franchise, to be an iconic player, to be the person that lifts that organization to possibly go into an NBA championship because he's that good when he's on the court? The problem is he's hardly ever on the basketball court. But does he need a new location, a new start to just start things freshly? Because like you mentioned to start this segment off, Greeny, he has a lot of things that's going on right now outside of basketball, on top of the injuries and not being available to his team.
And those things are not the fault of the organization. Like I guess if there's one thing I've never fully understood in all of this, and Big Perk jumps back in with us here, but Alan, I'll just get like, what is it that makes someone think that if he's got everything you could possibly want in New Orleans? They handed him the keys to the franchise. They gave him the money a year ago.
There's a problem.
What exactly is it he's looking for that they're not willing to give him?
Yeah, well, I think is what they've given him is too much. I think that's the problem. If they are going to keep him, which it sounds like they are going to do that. First and foremost, I'll say this: the fact that they would think about trading him for a 19-year-old in the draft, it's a high draft pick, but this guy went number 1, and this guy was supposed to be generational. If you're even thinking about that, that still opens the door that you're thinking about life without him, okay? So while he probably isn't going to be traded for anything else, it's still there. So you can't ignore that. But it is also something that the organization has to decide. We can't continue to empower him to be able to do whatever he wants to do because that's what makes him happy. You can't do that. I mean, they're having the same problem in Memphis with Ja. You can't do this with these young players. You have to put them in situations where they're taught how to be leaders because franchise players have to learn how to be leaders, where you have to have accountability for these guys and some control. They have given him the money. Where's any incentive? They let him do what he wants. He wanted to go to Portland and work out and train while he was injured instead of be with the team. We've heard he's never around the team. These are all issues that they have got to clean up as an organization and take control. And then you decide also, have a real talk. Do you really want to be here or not? Because you have to be honest with yourself as an organization. If you don't want to be here, then fine, we'll find another place for you to play.
What do you think of it all, Big Perk?
I've been said the Pelicans need to move on from Zion. When you think about he's never available, and now he's been a distraction outside of the line, outside of the basketball court. Here's the thing: the Pelicans are actually moving in the right direction when it comes down to their foundation. They've drafted well. They got some nice young pieces there. They have a nice young vet in C.J. McCollum. I love what Willie Green brings to the table. No matter how much of a generational talent Zion Williamson is, if he's not going to be available, if he's not going to be responsible, if he's not going to make sure that he's take on what he needs to do when he lead the facilities and the arena, as far as his eating habits and making sure his weight is under control, you got to move on from him. And with the distractions that's been happening over the last couple of months, I think the Pelicans have grown tired of him. And I want y'all to notice this. The Pelicans just got rid of Teresa Weatherspoon about a week ago, okay? The person that Zion was the closest to was Teresa Weatherspoon. To me, that's the writing on the wall right there.
Yeah, you mentioned that last week when you were here. I think that maybe there is a cautionary message in all of this also. And Harry, I'll put this to you as one who understands the dynamics of locker rooms. And football is so totally different because just all the dynamics involved are different. But in basketball, which you know intimately, Harry, this day and age in particular, where the players are, it's not like the old days where the players will have gone through 4 years of college and all that. You're bringing 19-year-old people into your organization. And if you do not surround them with people who can teach them how to be professional, then it is not their fault that they don't know. I mean, on some level, you can't excuse everything that we've seen from Zion here. But on the one thing I will fully excuse is you can't ask him to come in here and say, here, we have an organization that's worth billions of dollars, and we want you to be the face and the driving force behind it. Go do that. We're not going to supply you with anyone to teach you how. We're just going to demand that you do it. That's the one piece of this that I think we need to rethink in the NBA, Harry, as these stars come in and they're 19 years old.
Well, Greeny, I would say this. That's the part about every professional sport that bothers me the most, because I know how vital veteran players are to these young players. They're not just teaching them the game of basketball. They're teaching them how to become men, how to become responsible. If they're already fathers, how to be great dads and all these things. So when these organizations get rid of them because they want to go young, you're going to have situations like this. You're going to have situations like you have in Memphis with Ja, because you don't have the veterans there to teach these players. I was blessed enough to have them, and I thank God every day that I did have them.
All right, it's an interesting point. Let me leave that there for the moment. There's certainly more to it. And again, as Wendy said, maybe in the next couple of days, things wind up changing here. In the meantime, let me run the bases and show you your night in baseball, because we got a lot of stuff going on there. We're going streaking. And we begin in Cincinnati.
Hey, what's up, guys? Jag from Jaggy Sports. And let's get right into it. We're going to talk about Zion Williamson. Now, Zion. While I was on my hiatus, Zion Williamson got into a bit of trouble. Now, he announced that him and his girlfriend got pregnant. Now, apparently, he is with a lady, not his girlfriend, and he was doing other stuff with her. And apparently during this time he announced that him and his girlfriend got pregnant. Now, this other lady took it upon herself to go onto Twitter and just send out all these tweets saying what he did and whatnot, kind of thing. And the entire world was like, okay, wow, this is unbelievable what's happening to Zion right now. And now let's fast forward to today. Now, the deal is the fact that since Zion did this, Zion's name has been in the trade rumors for quite some time in the past week or so. Now, Zion has not played since January 2nd, and everybody was questioning, well, what's wrong with him? And Stephen A. Smith went on a tirade saying, oh, obviously now we know why he wasn't playing, because he was with these girls and yada, yada, yada. Another girl came forward. So regardless, Bill Simmons basically said Zion Williamson will be traded before the trade deadline. If that happens, right? Now, what they are trying to do, the New Orleans Pelicans, they want Scoot Henderson. Now, what they are trying to do is they want to trade Zion Williamson to Portland for the number 3 pick. I'm going to ask you guys a question. Is this a good move for both teams, right? Is this a good fit for Portland? Damian Lillard and Zion Williamson. Could be. You never know, right? Is this a good fit for the Pelicans? Scoot Henderson, Brandon Ingram, CJ McCollum, right? It could happen. But regardless, this is a pretty big deal. And what's even bigger is blockbuster news right now I'm about to share. And what I'm about to share is the fact that lady, Mariah Mills or whatever her name is, pretty much said that she will release the sex tapes that her and Zion had if Zion Williamson is not traded, or is basically not traded before Thursday. So she's given an ultimatum to the Pelicans saying, you better trade Zion Williamson or I'm going to release those sex tapes. I don't know. Is this going to happen? I have no idea. This is big news. If you're a New Orleans Pelicans fan, and, you know, quite frankly, I like the Pelicans. I like their system. I like the way they play, right? When healthy, they were legit. They were number 1 in December. I remember they were number 1 in December of 2022. Zion gets hurt, and all of a sudden they just tumble. Now, should the Pelicans do this deal? Should the Pelicans trade this generational talent when healthy? That is the question. Leave a comment in the comment section and tell me what you guys think. Should Zion Williamson get traded before Thursday? And if so, for who? This is Jag from Jaggy Sports.